folks. It's Coach Chris from thriveandharmony.com. Yesterday I did a blog on Love Your Tools and was not able to go outside and create a video to go with that as it was pouring rain. It is still only a balmy 8 degrees Celsius here. It's freezing in Nova Scotia, but at least it has stopped raining for the time being. So you hear up there is one of my greedy little squirrels. Climbed up my husband's pant leg earlier. Anyway, there are my plants that I mentioned the other day that are now soaking. I'm going to try to draw some water off them with my turkey baster in a bit. Things are starting to come around. My phlox is looking good. The fern leaf bleeding heart as well is looking great. Ooh, my loppers came back. I think my son had those in the woods. Fantastic. Anyway, there is my shed. There is my little palace. My husband got the garage, which we built a couple of years ago. I got a new shed. And over there is the wheelbarrow that I prefer. It's deep, it's solid, and it's much, much easier to move things around in, as opposed to a shallow, rickety metal one like I was using at my mom's a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully she doesn't see this. And, you know, I know when you first start gardening, maybe you've just moved out into a rural area for the first time, you've got a yard, you've got some space, you're looking at the flyers, it can be very overwhelming. You don't need a lot to get started. You are going to need, of course, a lawnmower and a whippersnipper, that sort of thing. And here's a few other things. I have just a typical lawn rake that's plastic. And behind that with the orange handle is a metal tined rake, great for this time of the year when you're trying to dig up, dethatch a bit and get some air down to the roots of your grass. I prefer that round mouth shovel for digging, working in my garden. I think that might be a woman thing. My husband prefers the longer handle. And of course there is a garden fork next to it. This is the little garden cart that I spoke of. Came from Home Depot, and it's usually overflowing, doesn't really close very well. It did have a kneel pad on the top of it that was more or less useless. I have others. There are my leaf paws that are fantastic and useful. I always have multiple pairs of gloves kicking around. Those ones have seen better days. I've got tape in the fingers. There are my watering spikes attached to 2-liter water bottles. So I put those in the ground next to some plants that never seem to stay hydrated enough. And water seeps out and they work quite well. Again, those are from Lee Valley. Not the pop bottles, but the tops are. Now inside my garden cart, you will see things like the leaf rake I mentioned. Well, it's just a handheld one to get underneath your shrubs. I've got multiple trowels in here, which I'm sure everybody knows what those are. You don't want to get anything too cheap because they fall apart. The same with your cultivator, your 3-pronged cultivator. Make sure that's 1 unit. If there's 2 units that are welded there, they tend to break and fall apart as well. This is my pièce de résistance dans mon jardin. I love this tool. This, yeah, forget what it's called again. You'll have to check my blogs. I know I mentioned it there. It's from Lee Valley, and it's good for digging out around anything. And this was the special tool that's great for getting at your dandelion roots. Could also be used in self-defense, I think, and it looks pretty darn near unbreakable. I've got slug bait. I have my pruners that I cleaned up the other day, the Fiskars ones, as well as the new bypass pruners. And they are called bypass, check this out, because one side bypasses the other. How clever is that when you're trimming your bushes? Anyway, there's a few things that I have in there. There's string and there's pantyhose. Pantyhose are nice to kind of shred and cut up to tie up bushes and trees and clematis like I have over there in the back side of the house, because they're very gentle and they don't damage a plant like string would. I wanted to show you, there's my garden over there with some lonely raspberry canes. That's in need of some TLC. There are some strawberries that I am going to relocate. I have a plan for those. That will be another blog and another day. So anyway, Coach Chris here. I know you can't see me. Can't quite figure out how to flip around my phone without stopping it. From thriveandharmony.com. A few rose bushes coming around. And if you have any questions on gardening ideas, tools, whatnot, let me know. Fire them my way. Any comments? What's your favorite tool? What do you use all the time? Would love to hear your thoughts. Leave them below and I will check back in and get back to you. Thanks again for watching. Coach Chris, thriveandharmony.com.